The Huskers are hot on the recruiting trail. Nebraska got a big-time commit yesterday. That's 3 in just 2 days. And folks, we are just getting started. It's been announced that Nebraska's #1 target in the entire recruiting class. You already know who this is. Elite, top 100 4-star Valdin Sone. He is officially committing very, very soon, and I love Nebraska's odds. So in today's video, I'm going to give you a big update around his situation, everything that's going on behind the scenes, whether or not the Huskers are actually going to land him, the NIL discussion, what other schools in the mix, and everything else you need to know about this developing story. Then we're going to put a bow on Nebraska's wide receiver recruiting class. I'm going to go over both of our commits in detail, my honest expectations for them, the pros, the cons. I'm going to be very honest, and whether or not we're going to get another flip, potentially a third wide receiver commit. And then last but not least, we'll wrap things up talking about, in my opinion, the Huskers' biggest concern currently with this class, the secondary. With only one commit, 2 of our biggest prospects are coming off the board in the next couple of days. Whether that's to the Big Red or not, we'll talk about it, and a couple other names that I would look out for. So really quick, this video is absolutely jam-packed. You're going to watch the entire thing. It's nuts. Hit that like button if you're fired up. And also, if you're a diehard Nebraska fan, this is the place for you. If you enjoy daily Husker content, takes 2 seconds. It's a no-brainer. Hit that subscribe button, join the family. Thank you so much. But without further ado, folks, we have a lot to talk about. It's been a busy week, and as I keep telling you, we are just getting started. It's been announced that Nebraska's #1 target in the entire 2026 recruiting class, you already know who this is, elite defensive tackle, top 100 player in America, Valdin Sone. He is officially committing very, very soon. Now, it's been announced by his agent. This was a tweet yesterday morning by Brandon Collier at PPI Recruits. He says, and I quote, "I think the big ticket, Valdin Sone, is ready for a decision," eyeball emoji. So listen, there's a lot of things going on behind the scenes that would lead me to believe that Nebraska right now is the favorite. I've been telling you guys this over the past couple of days. So when the crystal balls start to roll in, don't be surprised. We know that Georgia, they were arguably the favorite for a long time now, but as it stands, they have 6 defensive line commits, and they're still recruiting Valdin Sone. It's not like they've dropped him, but who says that Valdin Sone wants to be a part of that loaded defensive line class? He wants to go and play right away. That's probably not going to happen at Georgia anymore. You look at Florida, it's the same way. They're about to land their 3rd and their 4th defensive line commit, and they don't really have too many more spots. Auburn, they're kind of out of it. Oklahoma, they're kind of out of it. It would lead me to believe, as I've told you guys over the past couple of days, I think it's going to be Nebraska. That's why he's making this announcement. Know that the Huskers, they've been very aggressive. And then I also want to show you this. So, of course, Brandon Collier, he tweeted this out yesterday morning. And then yesterday night, he posted another tweet, and it was about E.J. Barthel. He said, E.J. Barthel, the best running back coach recruiter in the game, eyeball emoji. I love bro. And again, this is Valdin Sone's agent, the guy who's honestly making the decision alongside Valdin Sone. That doesn't come out of nowhere. That tweet is not by coincidence. He's not just saying that just to say that for Valdin Sone to commit to Georgia or for him to commit to Florida. Okay, those are linked. You better believe it. So listen, we know that Nebraska, they put all their chips really into one basket here. They are doing anything it takes to get Valdin Sone, right? The playing time is something that they've been harping on for a very long time. If Valdin Sone commits here, he could potentially start as a true freshman. That's huge for him. They've made this a family affair. They flew out his family from Sweden to come for the official visit. They flew out to Sweden themselves to visit his family. And we know, and I'll tell you this for a fact right now, this is the only inside scoop I have on this recruitment because his recruitment has been very weird. The only thing that I know for a fact, it's out of all of these schools, Nebraska, they are offering the most money. Nebraska, they are offering more money than Georgia. Nebraska is offering more money than Florida. They're absolutely offering more money than Oklahoma and Auburn. So if this does come down to money, which is very much part of it for this top 100 recruit, Nebraska, they're not going to be short. Okay, that's how much they want him. This is really the only defensive lineman that they're really going after in this entire recruiting class. So Valdin Sone, things are looking very good here. Now, again, there's not a set commitment date necessarily, but with the developments we've seen at Georgia, with the hints that we've seen from his agent, and the last thing, I was thinking about this last night, the last thing that I think is really interesting as well, going back to Matt Rule's tweet, he said, again, talking about people who have profited off of negativity and despair, he said their time is over. I was thinking about this. Why would he tweet that out? Okay, just out of nowhere. He's not tweeting that out because of Larry Miles. He's definitely not tweeting that out, because of Leon Noy, maybe Klama Puma. But that made me think. There's something that got Coach Rule riled up. Maybe a big-time commitment. Maybe a big-time defensive tackle said, hey, I want to be a part of this recruiting class. Should be noted that this tweet from Matt Rule and the agent's tweet was within 12 hours. I'm just saying. Those things are not coincidences. Something riled up Matt Rule to get hyped up and say, hey, No more negativity because we're recruiting at a high level. So I'm feeling really good about Valdin Sone. I'm putting in my crystal ball. I believe Nebraska is going to land him. We've been on a hot streak recently on the channel. I told you guys Clown Puma was a silent commit. Told you guys Jamal Rule was a silent commit. We've been on a hot streak. Told you guys about Nayland Scott commit on Friday. Valdin Sone, we're due for a miss. We're not going to have a miss here. Valdin Sone is going to be Nebraska's Cornhusker, and I believe he's going to commit within the next 2 weeks. Let's make this thing happen. They put all their chips in one basket. This is where the rewards, we're going to reap them, whether it's from E.J. Barthel, Terry Bryan, Matt Rule. They've put in the work to get this guy. We're going to get a game changer on the defensive line. So feeling really good about the situation. Watch out for Mr. Valdin Sone. And then let's talk Nebraska's wide receiver class, my honest evaluation of what's been going on with our 2 commits, whether or not we're getting a 3rd commit. So of course, we know that Nayland Scott committed 1 week ago. He flipped from Arizona State. My honest evaluation of him, I really like Nayland Scott's game. Again, he's about 6'3", can go up and get jump balls. He's not a burner. He's not somebody who's super speedy, but in my opinion, he's like a more talented Janiran Bonner. He's incredibly physical. Again, he has great hands and solid route running. You can put him all over the field, wide receiver X, wide receiver Z. You can put him in the slot. You can put him at tight end even. He has actually experience at tight end. So I really like Nayland Scott's game. I think he's going to end as a true 4-star prospect according to all these recruiting sites. He has a bunch of good offers all around the country, whether it was from Georgia, LSU. So Nayland Scott's somebody who I'm a lot higher on than most people. I feel like that was a really good addition for Nebraska. He's not necessarily that 6'4" receiver that we want, but he has a lot of height on him, and he's very physical. And of course, it announced yesterday that Larry Miles has committed to Nebraska. Now, this is somebody who I will say, he's not the speediest guy in the world. He's obviously not the tallest guy in the world, but he's incredibly quick, and the route running is so good from Larry Miles, where that's how I know he's going to be productive at the next level. If he does everything right off the field, the route running is just so polished, and that's how you become a good receiver. If your route running is elite, you're always going to be solid. So Larry Miles is somebody who we can put all over the field, really like his game. He's not a burner, and I think that's a misconception. A lot of people are saying, oh, he's a speedster. And that's not really the case with Larry. Like, he's fast, don't get me wrong. He's not slow by any means, but he's not like a 4.2 guy, 4.3 guy. He is fast. He's not a speedster, but he's somebody who's quick on his feet, can make people miss. He's incredibly productive. That's why I really like his game. So I'm very excited about this receiver class. I think it's really, really good. But I will say this, I think we need one more. We know that, again, Davion Ballwitty, he's currently committed. He will decommit probably by the end of July at this point. We're just waiting on those news. It's pretty much already confirmed. We're just waiting on it to be announced. Now, I do believe Nebraska will land a 3rd wide receiver commit just because there's a lot of uncertainty at that position. You never know what transfers are going to look like. Of course, we know that Isaiah Mozee's transitioning halfway to running back. We know that Jackson Carpenter might move to the defensive line, or next to the linebacker core. We know that Jeremiah Jones might move to the secondary. So we just don't know what this receiver core is going to look like. I think Nebraska might need another receiver. And don't worry, we might flip a couple guys. So there's 2 guys in particular who I have my eyes out for. Now, Zion Robinson's the number 1 guy who I think Nebraska, they're going to try to get him on another visit this fall. Of course, just committed to Michigan. But, Zion Robinson's somebody who Nebraska, they got involved very late here. He visited 2 weeks ago. He very much liked his visit. It was no shock to anybody that he committed to Michigan because, of course, he wasn't going to commit to Nebraska with us only recruiting him for 2 weeks. This wasn't going to happen. But Nebraska believes that if they're consistent here and they can get him back on a visit this fall, they can potentially flip him. I think Nebraska, they're going to want to bring him for that Nebraska-Michigan game. Why not? Okay. Have a front row ticket for Nebraska beating down the Wolverines, getting that upset win that might change some opinions. You never know. So I would watch out for Zion Robinson. I don't think it's over there. So we'll watch out for that name. And then Nyziah Rankin Summer, I just go back to, like, he has a great connection at Illinois. But if Illinois is not as good as people think this year, maybe they only win 6 games, and there's a lot of questions there. Would not be surprised if Nyziah Rankin opens back up his recruitment, especially if Nebraska offers him to play basketball, which is very important to him. And then, of course, Jaden Warren's somebody who's committing very soon. That recruitment's really weird. Like, he never ended up taking an official visit. I don't know if Nebraska got out of it. They probably are. Let's be real here. But this is somebody who, maybe Nebraska would try to circle back here and try to get him on a visit this fall. But I doubt. I think he's going to probably commit. I believe people are saying he's going to commit to Houston. So we'll see if that's the case, but probably Nebraska's out of it. I just all that to say this. I watch out for Zion Robinson, Nyziah Rankin. I do believe we're going to land a 3rd receiver commit at some point in time. You got to win this football season, and then we're going to flip some guys by signing day. And then, of course, talking about the rest of this offensive class, we're pretty much done, I think, for now. I think when it's all said and done, we'll add one more wide receiver, but besides that, we're not going to add another offensive lineman. We know that Kelvin Oba actually committed yesterday, Utah. Shout out to Kelvin Oba. That was a great commitment, man. Like, I got no disrespect for him. That's a great individual right there. He wants to be different. He wants to go somewhere he's developed at a high level. He's not doing this for the NIL. Kelvin Oba, he's the man. I wish him the best of luck. But we're not going to land another offensive lineman. Jamal Rule, he's locked in. We're not going to land Brian Bonner. The crystal ball for Notre Dame here. Let's see how old that is. Yeah, that's pretty old. I believe Brian Bonner is going to commit to Penn State when it's all said and done. So Well, that being said, we're pretty much done with the offensive recruiting. Defense is a little bit concerning. We still have a lot of defensive commits that we need. Let's talk about the secondary, because this is really the only positional group that I think has a little bit of a problem right now. We do have Danny Odom, and that's great, but you need probably 3 to 4 commits in the secondary. We know that right now a lot of people are going to say, Wilson, the secondary is already so loaded. We have a million players there. Yeah, but you don't know what it's going to look like in December. Okay, there could be a million guys who transfer. That's probably what's going to be the case with a brand new defensive coordinator and a brand new secondary coach. A lot of these guys are just going to leave. So in my opinion, Nebraska, they need 3 to 4 commits here. I know the staff, they want at least 3. We know that Devin Jackson's committing tomorrow. Again, it looks like it's Oregon. I've lost hope here. Again, it's not over. It's not over until signing day. I think he's making a horrific decision. I really do. And then, of course, you know that Darian Jones committing on Friday. All signs point to Iowa. I believe he's pretty much a silent commit at this point in time. So Nebraska, they're not going to flip him at this point in time either. So with that being said, Nebraska, they only have 1 commit in the secondary. That's the only room right now where I'm like, okay, what's going on here? What's the plan? Because we need at least 3. We do. Because we're right now with the secondary, yes, there are a lot of people in the secondary. There's a lot of young players, but you don't know what that's going to look like in December when the portal rolls around, right? Because there could be a lot of young players who end up leaving. So Nebraska, again, they need 2, they need 3. We know we lost on CJ. We could circle back there. We could very well circle back on CJ. It's not over. Cameron Hamo, we could circle back on, committed to Texas A&M. Chasten Smith is somebody who we wanted early on in the process, committed to Notre Dame. Dominic Turnbull, we dropped him completely. That was a kind of a weird situation. I don't really want to get into it. Other than that, like James Dunnigan, we wanted him, but he shut down his recruitment for Kansas. If Kansas doesn't make a bowl game, we could circle back there. I really like JJ's game. Jay McGregory, we don't really want him. Darius Hughes is somebody who we're trying to flip. So Darius Hughes is somebody I would watch out for long term, but obviously not right now, where he's not going to flip in July by any means. And that's really about it. So again, the secondary, I would just keep an eye on that if you're a hardcore Nebraska recruiting fan. Like if you're following recruiting every day, just keep an eye on that secondary, because I know for a fact Nebraska, they want at least 3 guys there. They want, I'd say 2 corners, 1 safety. We definitely need players in the secondary, just because there's so much uncertainty with this with the transfer portal. So we'll see what happens there. That's probably the only positional group that I don't feel great about. Again, I feel good about this linebacker core, really, with Calvin committing very soon, potentially another couple of guys that you're about to see. I feel good about the defensive line if and when we land Valdin Sone, which I feel good about, and the offense is pretty much wrapped up. So just would watch out for the secondary if I were you. All right, guys, let me know your thoughts down below about everything. Hey, if you made this far in the video, you know what to do. Hit that like button and subscribe. As always, folks, go be grad, go Lateral, and I'll see you in the next one.